Another edition of Chat with a Cop. We are here at Town Hall in the council chambers. Today we have a couple of different officers to talk with you guys and representing a couple of different entities of the department. So first off, we have Officer Zapata. He's going to be talking to you from our patrol division. And beside him, we have Officer Titchener, who is going to be talking to you about SROs, because he's a SRO at Garner Magnet High School. So, we'll start off with patrol. Officer Zapata, please introduce yourself and kind of tell the world how you became an officer with the Garner Police Department.
All right. Hey, everyone. I'm Officer Zapata. I'm with the patrol division right now. I've been with Garner for about a year and a half. All in different capacities. I started off as a services officer, which is mostly like you do animal control calls and I guess patrol the parks a little bit, close park gates. Then I went on and got hired on as a police recruit, which is when I went to the academy, which lasts about 6 months. And then I came in as a patrol officer, so that's the other third of my time here with the Garner Police Department. In the patrol division, basically what we do is we respond to any calls that we get. We go out and just handle whatever comes at us. There's a wide range of things that we handle. We get calls for anything. It could be like trash in the roadway, ranging to death investigations and more serious stuff like that. So we're kind of like the first people to get there. Then if another division needs to be contacted, like investigations, anything like that, then we call them. But pretty much that's what the patrol division encompasses, and that's what we do.
Right, very cool. So did you say how long you've been on?
Yeah, I've been on for a year and a half in different capacities, yep.
Awesome, very cool. And we'll move right over and go ahead and get this other guy introduced. Officer Titchener, please tell the world who's watching how long you've been here and what you do for the police department.
How you guys doing? Like Officer Medlin said, I'm Officer Titchener. I'm currently one of the 2 school resource officers assigned to Garner Magnet High School, which is the main high school here in Garner. I started out as an SRO at North Garner Middle School. I did a few months there during COVID time and elected to go over to the high school to kind of take on a bigger role. I've been with Garner Police Department for just over 3 years now. I was hired on as a police recruit like Officer Zapata, was paid to go to the police academy. Did about 2 years on the road as a patrol officer. Enjoyed my time there, but wanted the better schedule and have always enjoyed working with kids, so I wanted to go to the high school. As an SRO, there's a whole host of things that we do. The biggest thing is we build relationships. We're there so these kids kind of have seen a police officer, they can come up to us and talk to us, kind of have that experience of talking to a police officer, so when they're pulled over, that's not the first time they meet them. My biggest role that I see myself as is just talking to these kids, having a good time, making sure that we have a good relationship with the community, and kids are the first place to start with that. Kind of the second thing is school security. Obviously, we're there to make sure that school is the safest place in Garner. There's 2 of us stationed there. Patrol the hallways, patrol the outside, stuff like that. Just, I'm a normal police officer in the school, just kind of in a little bit different capacity as kind of a relationship builder.
All right. So let's go back to patrol for a minute. Officer Zapata, so you said earlier that patrol responds to all kinds of different calls, right? So by that, do you mean, so like one call they could go to, it could be a larceny, so someone stole something, and the next call it could be like a medical call. What are some of the calls like on an average day that you normally go to in a regular day of work?
Okay, in a regular day of work. Yeah, so like I said earlier, there's a huge range of, calls for what people call us for, but on a normal day, you could probably in terms of numbers, I'll take probably 10 to 20 calls, depending on how busy it is, what day of the week, things like that. Larcenies are one of the most common, like if someone steals something from Walmart or Target or whatever the case may be. Also, there's a lot of animal calls, like dogs are barking or just stray animals on the road. We get a lot of those. So yeah, we also take like traffic crashes, which are very common. Sometimes when we don't have the patrol division, the traffic division, since they work a different schedule than us, we're always here. So when they're not here, we'll go out and take those traffic crashes as well. So those are probably the top 3 calls that we're taking on almost a daily basis. So.
All right, so we've established that patrol takes pretty much any kind of call that comes in. Is there a certain kind of call that you personally like more than others? Like, some officers really enjoy doing traffic, and some officers really enjoy trying to, look for drunk drivers and stuff like that. Is there something in your short career so far that you have found that you really like to do more than something else?
Yeah, so actually traffic is one of the things I enjoy the most, and the reason being that obviously in this profession you sometimes encounter people at their worst, especially us since we're the first people to be there. No one calls the police when they're having a good day, so most people don't. So when you do traffic investigations, a lot of times it may be a bad day, but they're not at their worst. It's not the worst day of their lives. So you get to interact with people in a more positive way, and it's just and I also just like cars in general, so it's fun investigating what happened there and things like that.
All right. Officer Tishner, so you are now at Garner Magna High School. How many kids are y'all having now with this COVID thing? How many kids do you have signed up that actually show up to school now?
Starting on the 8th of this month, they opened up the school for anyone to come back that wanted to. I believe they had about 870-ish students advise that they wanted to come back. They knew that would be a lot smaller and it would dwindle as time goes on. I think the first week we had about 560, if I remember correctly, and it's kind of gone down to about 450, somewhere between the 400 and 500 number. So we're about a quarter to a half capacity, depending on the day.
Okay. Is everyone wearing masks and trying to social distance as best as possible?
Yeah, so administration has been pretty strict on the whole mask policy, and to be honest, kind of surprisingly, the students have been very good with following the social distancing, wearing a mask. Rarely do I ever see someone taking their mask off. They get an opportunity to take mask breaks outside or at the cafeteria. While they eat, they can take their masks off because they social distance it pretty well. They got about 12 feet in between the students, utilizing different areas in the school to make sure that there's plenty of room for people to take their masks off in a safe capacity.
All right. On a normal day, would you walking around the school and just patrolling and making sure everything's okay? Like, what types of calls or what types of interactions with students do you normally see yourself dealing with? So like, for instance, if it's not a law enforcement capacity, do you do things like mentor kids, counsel kids, maybe talk to them about like future endeavors that they could be involved in? So what kind of things do you do at the school other than, become or do things in a police capacity?
Yeah, like I said earlier, I would say about 90% of my role at the school is relationship building. I'm out in the hallways every time they change class, when they come in the morning, when they leave in the afternoon. Kids come up to us and speak. Like I said, there's 2 of us. They come up to us and talk to us, ask us questions about college. A few of the students know that I attended Western Carolina University out in the mountains. So I've had several saying, I've applied there. I'm interested in going there. Can you give me some advice? I got to speak with a few students this morning about that. We also have the role of kind of being a mentor for these students that just need someone to talk to. have questions about maybe getting a ticket that morning. Maybe they got a drinking ticket over the weekend. They can have someone to come talk to, get some advice. I can kind of tell them what their next steps are. It's kind of another role that we have at the school, as well as just kind of being visible, making sure that they know we're there, that they can feel comfortable coming up and talking to us.
Very cool. I think at North Garner Middle School, before you went to the high school, you were helping coach the girls' soccer team?
Yeah, so when I was at the middle school, due to COVID, the soccer season kind of got pushed back. So kind of stepped up. I love sports. I love helping, teaching kids in sports. It's something that I'm passionate about. So I volunteered to be the girls soccer coach for the season, just so that they had something to do. They had someone out there with them, getting that exercise. We weren't able to have games or anything due to COVID, but at least it gave them an opportunity to have an after-school activity in a safe manner.
Yeah, so it's important for people to understand that we put our police officers in the schools, but we're not there. Like our main objective in the school is school safety, right? So that's number one. And of course, if something arises that requires a law enforcement action, then we have to take, the appropriate action. Can you talk a little bit about diversion programs? So I think a lot of people who don't necessarily know exactly what SROs do just assume that if a kid commits some sort of a crime, then we automatically charge and throw them into the system. But as we both know, that's not true. So talk a little bit about how we divert, some of the diversion programs that we utilize.
Yeah, so in the school, the last thing we have to do is get someone in the system, especially when they're in their teenage years. We all make mistakes. Fortunately, in Wake County, there's multiple diversion programs that we're able to utilize. In a situation, especially a small situation, the first diversion point that I would use is the administration at the school. I asked myself, is this something that can be held, or they can be held accountable by the school? Is this something that the administration at the school can handle, where we don't necessarily have to get involved in that much? From that point, if the school wants us to get involved in more, I have other options, some that I've used and I think that are useful. Campbell University offers a great diversion program where they can come in and mentor kids, give kids other options. That always works really well, especially at the middle school. And then there's also things like teen court, where they can go and they're in a court with their peers instead of being kind of treated as an adult in real court. So there's several diversion options like that in Wake County. So kind of our last option is charging. If we need to, obviously we can through the juvenile court system, but it's always more important to get these kids the help that they need or get them the mentorship that they need so that this doesn't continue to happen in their later years. And like I said, we all make mistakes as teenagers, so we kind of have that opportunity to divert them from the court system and kind of get their name in the system.
All right, very cool. So Officer Zapata, we'll go back to you one more time. So you like doing traffic investigations. So with that comes a plethora of things. So what are some of the things that drivers can do? And I know this kind of goes along with the traffic stuff, and we'll have another traffic unit come in one day and talk about this. But since you've said you like traffic, what are some of the traffic things that the drivers need to remember that they should probably avoid doing to help reduce the number of crashes that we have to investigate? So just give some driver safety tips that they should look to avoid.
Okay. Obviously there's a lot of distractions on the road, even just what bad weather, things like that. But probably what causes, I would say, anywhere from 80 to 90% of vehicle crashes that I've been at personally is people being on their phones and distractions within the vehicle. A lot of times just a second. Actually, this morning I took a crash that just a person looked down for 1 second and they didn't see a cyclist on the side of the road and they hit him. So it doesn't take a long time for you to completely get distracted and lose track of the fact that you're driving and time, and you could think to yourself, I'm just going to look at my phone for 1 second to see what whoever texted me, but it's going to be longer than that. So I think one of the things you could do is just put your phone on silent and completely turn it down, put it on the passenger seat, do whatever you have to do to avoid grabbing it, because I mean the consequences could be bad, and it's not worth it. If you really need to see the text or call somebody, I would definitely pull over somewhere for 1 second, and then do what you got to do there. But as far as when you're driving, it's probably just safer to forget about your phone completely.
All right, so what about speed? Does speed play a factor in traffic collisions?
Yeah, speed definitely does play a factor in terms of if you do get in a collision, obviously it's going to be way more severe. So that's pretty much what.
Yeah, so with speed, right, and so maybe if the faster you go, right, the slower it takes you to slow down. So like as speed increases, braking distance also increases. So the faster you're going, the longer it's going to take you to stop. And so I think it's important for people to understand that when we're out here running radar and trying to slow people down, it's not because we don't have anything else better to do. It's because, we've seen it. We've been there. We've seen the crashes that speed and other contributing circumstances cause, and we're trying to cut down on that as much as possible. So good point, especially on the texting and driving. I heard that call this morning, and, I was praying that the guy was going to be okay. So very cool. I'm waiting to see if we have any questions from our viewers. We do have one viewer, Jason David, who said, thanks guys for all you do for the community. Thank you, Jason David, for saying that. Beverly says, SROs are an important liaison between students and law enforcement. So that's a very good point, Beverly. I know myself, I was an SRO for a number of years before I got promoted. And just like Officer Titchener said, we do a lot of mentoring. We do a lot of counseling. We do that far more than any law enforcement, action. We build rapport, not only with the kids, but with the staff and the administration at the schools. SROs are super important to the to the success, I believe. I remember when I had kids graduate, I had a couple tell me that, they felt like I was one of the main reasons why they graduated, because I was there to help trying to keep them in line. And I was there, like he said, like Officer Titchener said, just to be someone to listen to, because a lot of times these kids don't have people to listen to at home. So it's important that they do have a role model there on a daily basis to help out with that. So keep up the good work, both of you. And we will look one more time to see if there's any more, or to see if there's any questions, but I do not see any. Well, guys, this was a fairly short one today, but I think there was some good information that was exchanged. So I want to thank Officer Titchener and Officer Zapata for joining us today. Thank you for taking time out of your schedule to come talk to the citizens of the town of Garner and wherever else you're tuning in from. And keep an eye out on social media. We'll let you know when the next chat with a cop is going to be. And we hope to see you soon. Y'all take care and be safe as usual.